Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome to the channel. I am very excited to announce a couple things before I get into today's video. First of all, I am 4 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers, which is mind-blowing, exciting. I am so happy that so many people feel inspired and touched and interested in the information I'm sharing. So really appreciate that. And I'm thinking that maybe, sometime after I hit 1,000 subscribers, I could do like a live Q&A. I've not done that before, but I figure that could be an easy way if people have questions, especially about the Camino Frances or Camino in summer months. I could take some live questions. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in potentially. And then my second announcement is that tonight I'm going to actually be having an interview with Dan Mullins who has the My Camino podcast. He reached out to me a couple weeks ago, and I'm super excited. I've never been on anyone's podcast before. I just look at it as a way to continue to get the word of the Camino out there. So I will share information with you guys when that is ready, but really excited about that. And it got me thinking that, I've said this before, but I feel like I have so many personal stories from the Camino, and it's not that I tend not to share them, I guess maybe sometimes I feel like they don't make for as interesting of videos, especially for people who are curious about, who need information for planning their Camino. And then I realized, maybe a lot of my watchers may be people who have already done the Camino and just are really looking for, like myself, a way to keep it alive. So I'm going to make a concerted effort to tell more of my personal stories. And in conjunction with that, I am hopeful that this video, maybe not when it's first posted, but soon thereafter, will have pictures. A while ago I posted a video about the hardest ascents and descents on the Camino, and someone made a comment, it'd be great if we could see pictures of these places. And I was thinking, yeah, that would actually be great. But I don't know how to put pictures in a video. So I am learning. Hopefully those will be in here to accompany the story. But yeah, today my story is about the day I got lost on the Camino de Santiago. And again, as a reminder, I did the Camino Frances from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in France all the way to Santiago back in June and July of 2018. So this was day 16. My Camino took me 34 days with 3 rest days. This was day 16. I was headed from Burgos to Ontanas. I'd already taken 2 rest days. The first one was day 5, I want to say, day 4 or 5, and the second one was maybe day 10. So I had some nice rest days spaced in there. I was feeling good. I had no blisters. I was probably feeling a little cocky. The biggest problem I'd had was minor boredom, which sounds weird, but I feel like the Camino is an evolution, right? And so there are days that I just said, I'm happy I'm doing this, but I don't think I could do this again. And other days where I loved everything. And so I was kind of nervous already, because after Burgos is when they say the meseta starts for real. And some people love the meseta, some people hate it, but I think everyone agrees that you can really have your toughest moments, despite the fact that there's very little up and down. It's sort of those internal tough moments. And so the 2 times I got lost on the Camino, both physically, which I'll talk about today, or I guess geographically, and sort of internally, both happened in the meseta. So yeah, this was day 16, Burgos to Ontanas. It already was going to be my longest day yet, about 32 kilometers. And so everything was going fine. I had started the day with the Camino cousins, the 2 cousins I was walking on and off with from California. But we kind of got split up, and I was walking on my own. I went through Rabe de las Calzadas, which has a beautiful church in it. I think it's called the Church of Santa Marina, but you cannot miss it. It's right on the way out of the tiny town, which I read has 154 inhabitants. And I was listening to Hamilton. So I might get some hate for this, but I loved listening to music at various points of the Camino, depending on what my mood was, to bring me peace or to lift it up, or, what I don't know. There were moments I loved listening to music. And that was the summer of Hamilton, when I had just seen the show before leaving the States, and I was obsessed with the soundtrack. So I was listening, I think it's a song for those Hamilton fans out there, where George Washington is like trying to hype up Hamilton, and there's some really good like bass drops, and I was just in the zone, and I totally missed a turn off. So right after the church, and you can actually see it on Google Maps, I'm hoping to be able to put a picture of both the church and Google Maps in here so you can see it. But there was a turnoff. It was clearly, there was a sign that clearly said Camino left. I just missed it. Instead of heading left, I headed right. And I was in the zone. I was like, there are no pilgrims around me. Well, this is great. The sun was shining. It was warm, but not too hot. And I kept expecting to see somebody. And at one point I thought I saw somebody kind of up ahead. And I said, okay. Something started feeling weird, but I was like, okay, I'm all right. And then I'd say probably after about 35 minutes, I finally looked left. And in a parallel track to the one I was on, I saw probably a scattering of 15 to 20 pilgrims. And that's when I was like, oh no, I think I'm on the wrong path. And at that point, so I have T-Mobile cell service. So when I would be close to a tower, I could jump on cell service there for free. But this was not one of those places where there was good cell service. So I could not figure out where I was supposed to be going. So what I tried to cross, okay, so this is a lesson in trying to take the easy way out. I did not want to turn around and walk another 30 to 35 minutes back. Plus, then I'd have to, double that effort getting on the right path. And the path I was on, it looked like a legit path. It looked like it continued on for a while. And so probably for about 10 minutes, I was like, do I keep going? Do I turn back? And so finally, I tried to cross the field. And I got maybe halfway, and then I was like knee deep in a bunch of corn plants, and I got scared about snakes, and it did not look like I was going to be able to get out. So then I went back on the path, and I just committed to walking back. And I decided, well, this is what today brought. You're gonna have to do this. So I got back to the fork in the road. And for those of you who have walked the route, it's the fork in the road where there's that like random little brick tiny shed looking thing that has an elevator door repurposed. I don't know the significance of it, but a lot of people were taking pictures of this, so maybe it's in the guidebooks, I'm not sure. So I got back and I redirected, but it was funny because the church that I'm describing had actually given me, so I have this shell, I got this in Astorga, but this little pendant, I think, that has the symbol and the name of the church on it. I hadn't even been planning on going in. Something called me in, and so I went in. They gave me this, and I just remember thinking like, man, the Camino is so awesome. I don't know what struggles people are talking about. This is great. And then immediately after that, I get lost. It's just a sign for me that life has a sense of humor, right? The second you get too cocky, puts you back in your place. So anyway, I got on the right path, and what was funny is I knew I had set out ahead of the Camino cousins, and then I ended up coming up behind them, and they were so confused. They're like, what are you doing here? So it ended up working out because I got to walk with them, at least for a little while. And then what is, for me, like one of the craziest parts of the story is I continue on the path. This is like the real Meseta is starting, right? It's all just fields. You don't see any towns or anything. And I come to a point where the path, had I continued on it, I would have reached back with the regular Camino, right? So that was frustrating to me too, to say, I should have trusted my instinct. I should have gone, but that's just the decision that I made. And so what was especially interesting about that day is that by the end, I was just over it. Like I said, I think with my extra distance, I probably ended up walking maybe 38 kilometers. So anyone who's done this going into Antanas, you're kind of up and you don't even know it's coming until all of a sudden there's like two not headstones, but two concrete stones, and you see the village between them. So I knew I had maybe a kilometer left up until then, and I was over the day. It was like 4 p.m. I was rarely walking that late. I was over it. So I literally ran. I ran with my pack for at least a kilometer. And I was wearing Keen sandals, 2 pairs of socks, and I just was running. I was like, I need this day to end. And in so doing, I gave myself a horrible, horrible pinch blister on my pinky toe. If you don't know what pinch blisters are, I'll be making a video about them soon. There's a way you can look at the shape of your foot and almost predict and know if you're going to get this type of blister. And now that I know that, I think there are a lot of precautions I will take the next time, and I hope to help you guys prevent the same blisters I had. But in this run, remember this for the next story. I lost a pair of sunglasses, right? So I didn't know it at the time, but in the run, the sunglasses flew off. They were clipped to like a sunglasses clip on my pack. So I'm running, I run down, I get the first albergue I see, I stay there. You guys know, you go into Ontanas, there's an albergue right at the left with a big kind of open terrace. I just stayed there and gave myself my first blister. And it was from there that I then had a pretty difficult next 7 to 10 days on the Camino. So I'll kind of connect back to that in the video I make next about my experience on the Camino. But what kind of bring it full circle about this story and what I love about the Camino and why it's so magical, mystical, spiritual, whatever word you want to choose. So the next day was Ontanas to where did I stop? I cannot remember where I stopped, but it passed through Castro Jerez, and that's a little bit of a bigger town in the Meseta. And I remember walking through the town. I was walking alone and almost walking right by this building and then hearing some like ethereal music. And I was like, where is that coming from? And I turn and there's a sign that says Casa del Silencio, House of Silence. And it said free to enter, but please just respect the silence. So I walked in and said, okay, this looks interesting. Turned to my left, and so there's artwork and different things. And I don't know if this place is in guidebooks. I certainly did not know about it. I just happened upon going in there by chance. Turn to my left, and the first sign I see says this: Es mejor volver atrás que perderse en el camino. It's better to go back than to lose your way. And for me, this was really so full circle about the Camino showing you who you are, right? So the day before, it wouldn't have been possible, as frustrated I was to see that if I had stayed on that path, I would have met up with the Camino anyway. That's not me. I was too, I guess, worried about getting lost that I needed to go back. And, you know, that's not always the lesson, right? Sometimes you need to take chances and take risks and go down the road less traveled, or, you know, the Robert Frost poem. But in this moment, on that day, me being who I am, I needed to go back. I needed to make sure I was on the right path. So that really, you know, I was still kind of annoyed about the day, especially since I'd given myself this terrible blister and I thought I was going to get through the Camino blister free. Seeing that, it really brought a sense of peace to the experience, and really it was just one of those magical moments that stands out. So the takeaway here is, after the church in Rave de las Calzadas outside of Burgos, it doesn't matter if you go left or right. The sign will point you left. If you go right, and then hang a left, you're going to get back to the path, right? So either way, the Camino always provides. You know, the worst thing that would have happened is I always would have known how to at least get back where I was going. And if I needed to call the day early, I would have done that. So I know, you know, there are other points in the Camino that it's kind of easy to get lost. And I had a watcher actually ask if I can make a video about that. The two I can think of are going down into Roncesvalles, where you have the steep journey through the hill, and then the nice paved journey down like an asphalt path. And then also the day before, going into Burgos, where you can go straight and walk through the park, or go right and walk through an industrial mess. So I will try to make videos about those coming up. But yeah, let me know if you like these videos that are just kind of my stories about the Camino. And let me know about a day that you got lost on the Camino and how it turned out and what you think you learned from it. Thanks, guys. Buen Camino.